The proximity alert jarred Ethan Carter from his half-doze at the helm of his repair vessel, the Fix-It Felix. He blinked away fatigue, squinting at the holographic display that materialized before him. A ship's signature flickered weakly against the backdrop of space, its energy readings erratic. "Well, this is new," he muttered, fingers dancing across the controls. The ship's design wasn't in his database, all smooth curves and crystalline protrusions that caught the distant starlight. It was beautiful in an alien way, but more importantly, it was damaged. His comm crackled. "Carter, you're off your assigned route," his dispatcher's voice cut through. "Return to your designated sector immediately." Ethan rolled his eyes. "Sorry, Martha, got a distress signal here. Protocol 7B requires... There's no registered distress signal in that sector. Must be the interference." He grinned, knowing full well he was pushing his luck. "Breaking up. Can't hear you. Investigating potential emergency." "Carter, don't you dare!" He killed the comm. The company could fire him later if they wanted, but he wasn't about to leave someone stranded in the void. As he guided his ship closer, the damage became apparent. Scorch marks along the hull, obvious signs of weapons fire. This wasn't an accident. The docking procedure took longer than usual. The ship's automated systems were offline. Ethan had to manually override and establish a seal. When the airlock finally cycled, he grabbed his repair kit and emergency med pack. "Hello?" His voice echoed through corridors that seemed designed for someone much smaller than his 6-foot frame. The interior architecture was even stranger than the exterior. Everything gleamed with an inner light, walls pulsing with faint bioluminescence. A soft whimper drew his attention to what appeared to be the bridge. He rounded the corner and stopped short. Huddled behind a console was the smallest humanoid he'd ever seen. She couldn't have been more than 4 feet tall, with skin that looked like living crystal, currently dimmed to a fearful pale blue. Her large, iridescent eyes fixed on him with a mixture of terror and resignation. "Stay back!" Her voice was musical, despite the fear. "I have defenses." Ethan raised his hand slowly, trying to appear as non-threatening as possible. "I'm a repair engineer. Name's Ethan Carter. I saw your ship was damaged and came to help." The crystalline being remained tense, but her skin shifted slightly, taking on a curious purple tinge. You're not with the traders?" "Just a freelance mechanic." He gestured to his worn coveralls with their patches from a dozen different repair outfits. "Mind telling me what happened here?" She hesitated, then slowly emerged from behind the console. Her movements were graceful, despite her obvious injury. She favored her right leg. "I am Zia of the Lumen. My ship, it was attacked. They thought because of my size." She trailed off, her skin dimming further. "Hey, size doesn't mean anything where I come from," Ethan said, kneeling to be more at her eye level. He opened his medkit. "Let me take a look at that leg while you tell me more about these traders." Her skin flickered with surprise, a brief flash of rose gold before settling into a cautious amber. "You would help me? But your kind, they usually avoid interfering in such matters." "Yeah, well," Ethan grinned, pulling out a scanner. "I've never been great at following rules. Now hold still. This won't hurt a bit." As Ethan examined her injury, Zia's crystalline skin rippled with changing colors, from cautious amber to a deeper blue that seemed to indicate pain. "The ship belonged to my family," she explained, wincing as he applied a regenerative patch to her leg. "It's all I have left of them. The traders, they've been targeting smaller vessels in this sector. When they saw me alone," her voice hardened, "they assumed I would be easy prey." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Looks like they did a number on your propulsion system. And these energy readings..." He checked his scanner again. "Your core's destabilizing." "Yes, our technology is different from yours. The ship's systems are crystalline-based, like us. They require careful calibration." Zia attempted to stand, her diminutive form barely reaching Ethan's chest. "I can repair it myself, once." Her legs buckled. Ethan caught her before she could fall, surprised by how light she felt. Her skin flared with embarrassment, a bright pink that lit up the entire bridge. "Sorry," she mumbled, quickly steadying herself. "The attack, it drained more of my energy than I realized." "Look, Ethan said, running a hand through his disheveled brown hair. I know Lumen Tech is proprietary, but I've worked on enough weird ships to know when something's about to go critical. Let me help. Zia studied him, her large eyes seeming to peer right through him. Her skin shifted through several subtle shades before settling on a thoughtful violet. The traders could return. Helping me would put you at risk. Wouldn't be the first time I've gotten into trouble for doing the right thing. He grinned. Besides, I'm curious about your crystalline systems. Never seen anything quite like them. A small smile tugged at her lips, and her skin brightened slightly. Most humans find our technology unsettling. They say it feels too alive. Well, most humans are idiots. Ethan pulled out his diagnostic tools. Now, want to show me how this beauty works? For the first time, Zia's glow became warm and steady, a soft golden hue that reminded Ethan of sunrise. You truly want to learn? Try and stop me. She led him to the engine room, her small steps quick and precise despite her injury. The chamber was a marvel of crystalline engineering, geometric patterns that seemed to flow like liquid light, pulsing with energy that matched Zia's own bioluminescence. The core, she explained, pointing to a central column of pure crystal, it resonates with our life force. That's why the damage affected me so severely. We're connected. Ethan whistled low. That's not in any engineering manual I've ever read. He studied the intricate patterns. So when they attacked the ship, they attacked me as well. Her light dimmed momentarily. My people believe that size determines worth. Being the smallest of my kind, well, let's just say the traders weren't the first to underestimate me. The bitterness in her voice made Ethan pause his scanning. Their loss. I've found the smallest packages often pack the biggest surprises. Zia's skin flashed with that rose gold color again, and she quickly turned to a control panel. We should focus on the repairs. The core won't hold much longer. Right. Ethan pulled up his ship's schematics on his portable display. I've got some parts that might work with modification, but we'll need to... A proximity alert blared through the ship. Zia's skin went stark white with fear. They're back, she whispered. Ethan moved instinctively, positioning himself between Zia and the door. How many ships attacked you before? 3 small raiders. Her crystalline skin pulsed rapidly, casting shifting shadows across the engine room. Fast ships, but lightly armed. They rely on overwhelming singular targets. Well, Ethan flashed her a crooked smile. They don't know there's 2 of us now. He noticed her skin shift to a subtle rose pink at his words. Think you can get the shields online if I buy us some time? Zia straightened to her full height, which despite barely reaching his chest, somehow made her seem more formidable. I may be small, Mr. Carter, but I'm not helpless. Never thought you were. He winked at her. And it's Ethan. Her skin flickered with the same rose gold hue he was beginning to find rather charming. Very well, as Ethan. He forced himself to focus on the crisis at hand, rather than how musical his name sounded in her voice. I'll link our ship's systems. My shields aren't much, but they might give us the edge we need. Working side by side in the cramped engine room, Ethan couldn't help but notice how gracefully Zia moved despite her size, her crystalline fingers dancing across control surfaces with practiced precision. Every now and then, their hands would brush, and her skin would pulse with that telling rose gold color. You're quite skilled for a human, she remarked, her tone trying for professional, but tinged with something warmer. And you're quite impressive for someone who barely comes up to my shoulder, he countered, enjoying how her skin brightened at the compliment. The ship shuddered as the first warning shot streaked past. Zia stumbled, and Ethan caught her instinctively, one arm wrapping around her waist. Her skin blazed with brilliant colors. Rose gold shot through with sparks of silver. Sorry, they both said simultaneously, then shared a nervous laugh. Right, Ethan cleared his throat, reluctantly letting go. Let's show these traders why they shouldn't judge by size. Zia's glow steadied into a determined blue. Indeed, though I must warn you, helping me will likely put you on their target list as well. Worth it, he said without hesitation, meeting her iridescent eyes. Some things are worth the risk. Her skin rippled with colors he hadn't seen before. deep purples and golds that seemed to dance together. Before she could respond, another blast rocked the ship. Time to get creative, Ethan grinned, pulling up the ship's systems on his portable console. Think you can handle the weapons while I work on the shields? You're letting me handle weapons? Sia asked, surprise evident in both her voice and the sudden bright flash of her skin. Something tells me you've got better aim than me. He gestured to her crystalline form. Besides, you literally light up the room. Might as well put all that energy to good use. She made a sound that might have been a laugh, like wind chimes in a breeze. You are not like other humans I've met. I'll take that as a compliment, he said, already diving into the shield modifications. Now let's show these traitors what happens when they pick on the wrong repair engineer and his brilliant crystalline co-pilot. The raiders' first real attack slammed into their hastily reinforced shields. Ethan watched in fascination as Zia's skin pulsed with concentrated energy, synchronized perfectly with the ship's crystalline systems. Your shields are unconventional, she observed, fingers flying across the weapon controls. But they're complementing my ship's resonance field perfectly. Just like us, Ethan quipped, earning another flash of that enchanting rose gold color from her. I'm full of surprises. Zia's return fire was precisely calculated, disabling one raider's propulsion system without destroying the vessel. As am I, she said, a hint of pride coloring her musical voice. Remind me never to underestimate you, Ethan said, admiring her handiwork while rerouting power to strengthen their defenses. Though I have to admit, watching you work is illuminating. She shot him a look that made her entire form shimmer with iridescent patterns. Are you always this flirtatious during combat situations? Only with brilliant crystalline pilots who can outshoot 3 raiders while looking like a living aurora. Her skin blazed so brightly he had to squint. We should focus on survival. We are surviving, he grinned, sliding closer to adjust a control near her station. I'm just making it more entertaining. The ship rocked with another hit, sending Ethan stumbling forward. He caught himself on her console, suddenly very close to Zia. Her skin rippled with waves of color. Rose gold, silver, and something deeper, like starlight on ocean waves. Your proximity is distracting, she murmured, though she didn't move away. Good distraction or bad distraction? He asked softly, noticing how the lights in the ship seemed to pulse in rhythm with her quickening breaths. Another blast interrupted whatever she might have said. The remaining raiders were circling for a killing blow. Time to show them what we can really do, Ethan said, straightening up but staying close enough to feel the energy radiating from her crystalline form. Ready to light them up? Zia's answering smile was as brilliant as her skin. I believe the human phrase is, let's give them a show. Together, they executed a maneuver that would have been impossible for either of them alone. Ethan's unconventional shield modifications created a crystalline resonance field that Zia amplified with her own energy, while her precise targeting turned their defensive bubble into an offensive weapon. The raiders never stood a chance. As the last attacker fled, Zia's skin settled into a peaceful azure glow. She turned to Ethan, her large eyes sparkling with an emotion he couldn't quite name. You risked everything to help a stranger, she said softly. Why? Ethan reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away, and brushed his fingers against her crystalline hand. Her skin sparked at the contact, sending tiny shivers of pleasant energy up his arm. Maybe I just have a weakness for beautiful things that shine in the dark. The moment lingered between them, Zia's skin cycling through colors he hadn't seen before. Deep purples mixed with starlight silver and shimmering gold. She didn't pull her hand away from his. You are peculiar, Ethan Carter, she said, her musical voice softer than before. Most humans find us too alien, too different. Different is interesting, he replied, gently turning her hand over in his. The crystalline surface caught the light, creating tiny rainbows across his skin. And you're the most interesting person I've met in the outer sectors. A chiming sound escaped her, something between a laugh and a musical note. Even though I barely reach your shoulder? Especially because of that, he grinned, releasing her hand reluctantly to check the ship's diagnostics. You pack more punch in 4 feet than most people do in 6. Her skin flickered with that now familiar rose gold hue, but her expression grew serious. The core is still unstable. Even with the raiders gone, I'm not sure how long. The ship shuddered ominously, cutting off her words. Emergency lights pulsed through the crystalline walls. Core breach imminent, the ship's musical voice announced. Crystalline resonance failing. Zia swayed, her light dimming dangerously. Ethan caught her before she could fall, alarmed by how cold her usually warm skin felt. The ship's dying, she whispered against his chest. And I'm connected to it. I can't maintain the resonance alone. Then don't, Ethan said firmly, still holding her. My ship's docked. I can't abandon her, Zia interrupted, pushing away weakly. This ship is all I have left of my family, of my people. Don't you dare finish that sentence. Ethan grabbed her shoulders, forcing her to look at him. Listen, I'm the best damn repair engineer in 3 sectors. Give me a chance to fix this. To fix both of you. Her iridescent eyes searched his face. Why do you care so much? Because in the past hour, I've watched you outmaneuver raiders, handle advanced weapon systems, and maintain a ship more complex than anything I've ever seen, all while being the most captivating person I've met in years. He smiled softly. And I'm not ready to say goodbye yet. Her skin pulsed weakly with that beautiful rose gold color, even as the ship groaned around them. The repairs required, they're extensive, dangerous. You'd be risking your career, maybe your life. Ethan shrugged, already pulling out his repair kit. What's life without a little risk? Besides, he winked at her, I've got the galaxy's most qualified co-engineer right here, even if she is fun-sized. That startled another chiming laugh from her skin brightening slightly. Fun-sized? It's a compliment where I come from. Now, he spread out his tools, teach me about these crystalline systems of yours. And maybe afterward, you can tell me more about the person operating them. As they worked on the core systems, Ethan noticed how Zia's movements became more hesitant whenever she had to reach for higher controls, her skin dimming to a muted blue. You know, he said casually, handing her a tool, I've been wondering about something. Your engineering skills are incredible, but you seem surprised when I acknowledge them. Zia's skin flickered with uncertainty. On my world, someone of my stature would never be trusted with such responsibilities. She focused intently on the crystal panel before her, avoiding his gaze. The lumen believed that physical presence correlates with capability. At my height, I'm considered inadequate. That's ridiculous, Ethan scoffed, then softened his tone when he saw her flinch. Sorry, but I've seen you work. You're brilliant. Her skin rippled with complex patterns, hope warring with ingrained doubt. You don't understand. Among my people, I am what you might call a genetic anomaly. Most lumen are at least 6 feet tall. My size marks me as lesser. Ethan stopped working and turned to face her fully. Look at what you just did with those raiders. You outmaneuvered 3 ships while maintaining complex crystalline systems. That's not lesser. That's extraordinary. They let me work on ships only because my family owned this vessel, she admitted quietly, her light dimming further. And even then, I wasn't supposed to fly alone. I was meant to be an assistant, nothing more. The traders probably thought the same, that I was just some subordinate they could easily overwhelm. Their mistake, Ethan said firmly. He reached out and gently tilted her chin up, making her meet his eyes. And your people's loss. Her skin blazed suddenly with that beautiful rose gold color, but she pulled away. You're kind, but no buts. He moved to work beside her, deliberately positioning himself so they were at the same level. Where I come from, we judge people by their actions, not their height. And your actions? They're pretty damn impressive. A small smile tugged at her lips, her glow strengthening slightly. Even when I need help reaching the upper panels? Especially then, he grinned. Gives me an excuse to get closer. To demonstrate, he stepped behind her, reaching over her to adjust a crystal configuration. Her skin practically sparkled at the proximity. You truly don't find my size off-putting? she asked, voice barely above a whisper. I find it charming, he said honestly, like having a pocket-sized genius around. Besides, he added with a wink, you light up brighter than anyone I've ever met. Hard to feel small when you outshine everyone in the room. Her answering glow was radiant, and for the first time, she didn't try to dim it. You are either the most foolish human I've met, she said, her musical voice warming, or the wisest. I prefer charming and roguishly handsome, he quipped, enjoying how her colors shifted to those telling warm tones. Now want to show me how these crystal matrices work? I promise to be an attentive student, even if my teacher is fun-sized. Working together in the cramped engine room, Ethan found himself increasingly fascinated by how Zia's crystalline form responded to their interactions. Every casual brush of hands, every shared smile, sent ripples of color across her skin. These matrices, she explained, reaching up to adjust a crystal formation, they respond to emotional resonance as much as technical input. She hesitated, then added softly, like me. Is that why you keep lighting up like a sunset when I'm near? Ethan asked, deliberately leaning closer than necessary to examine the crystals. Her skin flashed that telltale rose gold. You're doing it on purpose. Doing what? He asked innocently, though his grin gave him away. Admiring the view? Guilty as charged. You are impossible, she huffed, but her glow remained warm and bright. We should focus on the repairs. I am focused, he said, watching how her colors shifted. On both the repairs and how your light changes when you're flustered. Zia attempted to look stern, but her skin betrayed her amusement with sparkles of silver. On my world, such attention would be considered highly inappropriate, especially from someone of your stature to someone like me. Well, we're not on your world, Ethan pointed out, passing her a tool she needed. And I happen to think your size is perfect. Perfect for what? She asked, curiosity overcoming her usual reserve. Perfect for this, he said, and in one smooth motion, lifted her up to reach a high crystal cluster she'd been struggling with. Her surprised laugh chimed through the engine room, her whole form blazing with light. Put me down, she protested, though her skin told a different story with its radiant glow. Sure about that? The view seems pretty good from up here. Ethan. But she was laughing now, really laughing, her light filling the whole chamber with dancing colors. He set her down gently but kept his hands at her waist. See? Perfect height for that, too. She turned to face him, still within the circle of his arms, her skin shimmering with complex emotions. You are either very brave or very foolish to flirt with a crystalline being. Maybe both, he admitted, but I've always believed the best things in life come with a little risk. His thumb traced a pattern on her waist, watching in fascination as her skin sparkled under his touch. Besides, I like how you light up my life. Literally. The ship's warning system chose that moment to interrupt, crystals pulsing with urgent red light. Zia's skin dimmed immediately as she pulled away, professional concern replacing the earlier warmth. The core's destabilizing again, she said, moving quickly to the main control panel. We need to... Her legs buckled suddenly, the strain of maintaining the ship's systems finally taking its toll. Ethan caught her before she could fall, alarmed by how cold her crystalline form felt. You're draining yourself trying to keep this ship alive, he said, his playful tone replaced by genuine worry. We need to get you to my vessel. No, she insisted, though her light flickered weakly. I told you, I can't abandon... Not abandoning, he interrupted firmly. Strategic retreat. We can stabilize you first, then come back with proper equipment. He cupped her face gently, forcing her to meet his eyes. The ship's important, I get that. But you're more important. Her skin rippled with conflict, deep blues of fear mixing with something warmer. My people would say the ship's worth far exceeds mine. Your people aren't here, Ethan said firmly. I am, and I'm telling you, you're worth saving. He glanced at the deteriorating core. Besides, what good is a ship without its pilot, especially one who can outshoot raiders while looking like a living aurora? A weak smile touched her lips, her color strengthening slightly. You're not going to let this go, are you? Not a chance. He scooped her up before she could protest, noting with concern how light she felt. Consider this your first lesson in human stubbornness. And what's the second lesson? she asked, her head resting against his chest despite her apparent reluctance. That good things come in small packages. He grinned down at her. Now hold on. We're making a strategic withdrawal to my ship, where you're going to rest while I figure out how to save your vessel without you burning yourself out in the process. Her skin pulsed with a mix of gratitude and something deeper as they made their way through the crystalline corridors. You know, she murmured, for someone who claims to be just a repair engineer, you're remarkably good at rescuing distressed pilots. Only the ones who light up my life, he quipped, earning another flash of that beautiful rose gold color he was growing increasingly fond of. As they reached the airlock connecting their ships, Zia's light dimmed again, her form growing heavier in his arms. Don't let them take her, she whispered, meaning her ship. Please. I promise, Ethan said solemnly. We'll save both of you. Trust me. Her answer came in a pulse of pure, warm light that wrapped around them both like a promise. Aboard the Fix-It Felix, Ethan gently set Zia down in his pilot's chair, noticing how her crystalline form seemed to respond to even the ambient light of his ship differently. Softer, less strained. The emergency lighting from her vessel cast ominous shadows through the viewport. Your ship's cozy, she observed, her voice weak but still carrying that musical lilt he'd grown fond of. Her eyes roamed the cramped cabin, taking in the organized chaos of his mobile repair station. It's not much compared to your crystalline palace, Ethan said, quickly retrieving a portable energy scanner. But it's home. He ran the device over her form, frowning at the readings. Your energy levels are dangerously low. A side effect of maintaining the ship's core for so long, she explained, her light flickering like a candle in wind. Usually there would be multiple lumen to share the load. Because bigger is better? He asked sarcastically, then immediately regretted it when her skin dimmed to that sad blue. Sorry, bad joke. But accurate, she said softly. My people would say this proves their point. A proper-sized lumen could have maintained the systems longer. Ethan knelt before her, taking her small hands in his. A proper-sized lumen wouldn't have survived the raider attack in the first place. Your quick thinking and skill saved that ship, and probably me too. Her skin rippled with surprise, traces of rose gold breaking through the blue. You're not, she paused, searching for words. You're not what I expected when I first saw you. Disappointed? He grinned. Quite the opposite, she admitted, her glow strengthening slightly. Then her expression turned serious as she looked past him to her ship. But what now? Even if I recover, the core won't last long without constant maintenance. Ethan stood, mind already racing through possibilities. Now we get creative. I've got some unconventional solutions that might work if you're willing to trust a crazy human repair engineer. Considering said engineer just saved my life, she smiled faintly. I think I can manage that. The moment was interrupted by a violent shudder from her vessel. Through the viewport, they watched as sections of the crystalline hull began to dim. She's dying, Zia whispered, attempting to stand. Ethan gently pushed her back into the chair. She's not going anywhere, he said firmly. Neither are you. Not on my watch. He started powering up his ship's systems. First, we get you stabilized. Then we save your ship. Together. Her skin pulsed once with brilliant light. Hope and trust and something warmer all mixed together. Together, she echoed softly. As Ethan prepared to move them to a safer distance, he caught her watching him with those iridescent eyes. Despite her exhaustion, despite everything she'd been through, there was a strength in her that had nothing to do with physical size. And as her ship's glow reflected off her crystalline form, creating patterns of light and shadow across his cabin, Ethan realized he was already in deeper than he'd planned. This wasn't just about fixing a ship anymore. It was about proving to Zia that sometimes the biggest hearts came in the smallest packages. The space station's repair bay dwarfed both their vessels, making Zia's crystalline ship look even more delicate under the harsh industrial lighting. Ethan watched as she traced her fingers along a dimmed crystal formation, her own light pulsing with concern. The core's deterioration has accelerated, she said, her musical voice tight with worry. Even with your makeshift stabilizers, we have maybe 48 hours before total system failure. Then we better work fast. Ethan pulled up the diagnostic readings on his portable display. I've got some ideas, but they're unconventional. Zia turned to face him, her small form radiating determination despite her obvious exhaustion. More unconventional than a human helping a Lumen outcast? Much more. He grinned, stepping closer. How do you feel about completely rewiring your ship's crystalline matrix to sync with human tech? Her skin flickered with shock. That's, uh, that's never been done. The resonance patterns would be completely different. It could kill us both? Ethan shrugged. Probably, but it's better than watching your ship die slowly. A chiming laugh escaped her. You're either brilliant or insane. I prefer innovatively reckless, he winked. Besides, we've got something no one else has tried before. And what's that? He reached out, letting his fingers brush against her crystalline hand. Her skin sparked at the contact, sending ripples of rose gold light up her arm. Perfect resonance. The color spread across her entire form, but she didn't pull away. You can't know that. Just because I react like this? He traced a pattern on her palm, watching in fascination as her light followed his touch. I'd say that's pretty good evidence. Ethan, she breathed his name like a warning, though her glow intensified. This is serious. I am being serious. He reluctantly released her hand to pull up more schematics. Your people believe in size determining worth? Well, I believe in chemistry, and we've got it in spades. Zia's colors shifted through complex patterns, hope warring with years of ingrained doubt. Even if you're right about the resonance, she said carefully, modifying the core systems would be incredibly dangerous. One wrong connection could blow us both into stardust, Ethan finished cheerfully. But think about it. Your crystalline tech responds to emotional energy, right? And you, he gestured to her glowing form, respond to me. If we can use that connection to stabilize the new pathways, you want to use our compatibility as a conductor. Her skin blazed with a mix of embarrassment and intrigue. Why not? Unless, he leaned closer, voice dropping to a teasing whisper. I'm reading the signals wrong? The resulting flash of rose gold nearly blinded him. You are impossible, she muttered, but her light remained warm and bright. Impossibly charming? Impossibly reckless. But she was smiling now, her natural luminescence strengthening. Though, your theory isn't entirely without merit. The old texts speak of lumen pairs using emotional resonance to enhance ship systems. See? We're practically following tradition. Ethan moved to examine the core chamber, just with a slight human variation. They worked through the station's artificial night cycle, Ethan's human technology slowly integrating with Zia's crystalline systems. Every successful connection made her ship pulse with new light, and each failure taught them more about the delicate balance between their different technologies. You know, Ethan said during a brief break, watching Zia expertly manipulate crystal formations that responded to her touch like living things. For someone who's supposed to be inadequate, you're doing things with these systems I've never seen before. Her hand stilled. My size. It actually helped in some ways. I had to learn to work smarter, not stronger, to find paths others might miss. Their loss, he said simply, enjoying how her skin sparkled at the compliment. Though I have to admit, I'm glad they were too blind to see your worth. Means I got to find you first. The warning klaxon shattered their moment. Red emergency lights flooded the repair bay as a familiar signature appeared on their scanners. The Raiders, Zia breathed, her skin paling to anxious white. They must have tracked my ship's energy signature. Perfect timing, Ethan muttered, checking the station's defenses. We're only halfway through the core modifications. If they hit us now, the resonance cascade could tear the station apart. Zia's fingers flew across the crystal controls. We need to stabilize the core or evacuate the entire station. No time for either. Ethan's mind raced through options, each worse than the last. But maybe we can use this. Use what? The unstable resonance. He grabbed her hand, pulling her toward the core chamber. Your ship's putting out enough raw energy to fry their sensors. If we can channel it, we'd have to manually direct the flow. Her eyes widened as she understood. Ethan, no. The feedback could kill you. You're not crystalline. You can't handle that kind of energy. Not alone, he agreed, already connecting emergency conduits. But I'm not alone, am I? The station shuddered as the first Raider blast hit the outer shields. Zia's ship pulsed erratically, crystals singing with dangerous power. Trust me? Ethan held out his hand. Zia looked at him, her small form somehow filling the space with determination. Always. Their fingers intertwined, and the world exploded into light. The energy coursed through them both, crystal and flesh, alien and human, small and tall, creating something entirely new. Through their connection, Ethan felt everything. The ship's pain, Zia's fierce protectiveness, the Raiders' approaching signatures, all of it merging into a single moment of perfect clarity. Now, he gasped. Zia's free hand touched the core, her crystalline nature channeling the wild energy through their joined hands. Ethan directed it through his modified systems, transforming the destructive power into a focused beam. The blast caught the Raiders completely off guard. Their shields, calibrated for conventional weapons, offered no protection against the hybrid energy wave. One by one, their systems failed, but the victory came at a cost. As the energy surge faded, Ethan felt his knees buckle. The last thing he saw before darkness claimed him was Zia's terrified face, her light enveloping him like a protective shield. "Stay with me," her musical voice pleaded. "Please, I can't lose you too." Consciousness returned slowly, accompanied by the gentle hum of medical equipment and a soft, pulsing light. Ethan blinked, finding himself in the station's medical bay. Beside his bed, Zia's small form glowed with anxious colors, her crystalline hand still clasped tightly in his. "You're an idiot," she said immediately, though her voice cracked with relief. "A reckless, foolish, brilliantly stupid human." "Nice to see you too," he croaked, managing a weak smile. Did it work? Her skin flashed through several emotions: worry, relief, anger, and something deeper. The Raiders are gone. Their ships were completely disabled. The station's security detained them. She squeezed his hand harder. "But you nearly died." "Worth it," he said simply. "Worth it?" Her light flared with sudden intensity. "You risked your life on an impossible theory. No human should have been able to channel that much crystalline energy. You could have." "But I didn't," he interrupted gently. "Because I had you." The anger in her glow softened to that familiar rose gold. "You trusted me that much? Even knowing what I am? How small? Size has nothing to do with it." Ethan struggled to sit up, ignoring the protest of his muscles. "You're brilliant, Zia. Brave. Beautiful. The fact that you come in a fun-sized package just makes you more impressive." She made that chiming sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. "My people would say—" "I don't care what they'd say." He reached up to cup her crystalline cheek. "I care what you say, what you want, not what some backward society programmed you to believe." Her skin rippled with complex emotions. "And what if I want something impossible? Like a human and a lumen creating new technology together?" He grinned. "Pretty sure we just proved impossible is relative." "Like a future," she whispered, her light dimming with uncertainty. "Someone like me on a human world." "Earth," he said suddenly, the idea crystallizing. "Come back with me. Not just to fix the ship. To stay." Her skin flashed with surprise, sending prismatic patterns across the medical bay walls. Earth? But humans. They'd never accept a crystalline being. Ethan laughed softly. "Trust me, you'd be amazed what humans accept." Besides, he traced a pattern on her palm, watching her light follow his touch. "You literally light up every room you enter. Who wouldn't want that?" "I'm not a decoration, Ethan," she protested, though her skin betrayed her with warm pulses of rose gold. "No, you're a brilliant engineer who just helped create groundbreaking hybrid technology." He sat up further, holding her gaze. "Think about it. Your crystalline expertise, my human innovation. We could revolutionize ship design. And," he added with a playful grin, "I happen to have a workshop that could use some illumination." "A workshop?" Her colors shifted to curious violet. "You mean a place of our own, where size doesn't matter and your light can shine as bright as you want?" He brushed a thumb across her cheek, watching the colors dance under his touch. Unless you're worried about having to look up at me all the time? Her answering glow was almost blindingly bright. I rather like the view, she admitted softly, even if it strains my neck occasionally. I could always kneel, he teased, earning another chiming laugh. Or I could get a very tall chair, she countered, her confidence growing with each exchange, though it might be difficult to reach the controls. I'll just have to keep catching you then. His voice softened. I'm pretty good at that by now. Her skin rippled with that deep, warm light he was growing to love. You make impossible things seem possible, only because you make ordinary things seem extraordinary. He gestured to the medical bay around them. Look what we've already done together. Imagine what else we could create. A sudden alarm from Zia's ship interrupted them. Her skin paled immediately as she turned toward the source. The core, we never finished the stabilization? Then let's finish it, Ethan said, swinging his legs off the bed despite his body's protests. Together. You're in no condition to try and stop me. He stood, swaying slightly until she steadied him, her small frame surprisingly strong. Besides, I've got the galaxy's most qualified crystalline engineer to keep me upright. They made their way back to the repair bay, where Zia's ship pulsed with unstable energy. The hybrid modifications they'd started glowed with potential, waiting to be completed. It's not just about the repairs anymore, is it? Zia asked softly as they approached the core chamber. Ethan looked down at her, at the way her light seemed to reach for him naturally now. No, it's not. It hasn't been for a while. Working together, they completed the integration of human and lumen technology. Each connection strengthened not just the ship's systems, but the bond between them. When the final crystal aligned with Ethan's modifications, the entire vessel lit up with new life, a perfect harmony of both their worlds. Beautiful, Ethan breathed, watching the colors dance across the walls. Yes, Zia agreed, but she wasn't looking at the ship. In that moment, as the hybrid energy flowed around them, Ethan made his decision. Come to Earth with me, he said again, more urgently this time. Not because you have to, but because you want to. Because together, we could build something new, something that's never existed before. Her skin cycled through emotions, fear, hope, longing, before settling into that warm, steady glow he'd come to associate with her true self. Your world. It's so far from everything I've known. Good, he said firmly, because everything you've known told you that being small made you less. I'm telling you, it makes you perfect. She stepped closer, her light reaching for him like a sunrise. Perfect for what? Perfect for this? He knelt down to her level, bringing their faces close. Perfect for proving that sometimes the most powerful things come in small packages. Perfect for showing the universe that love doesn't care about size or species. He smiled softly. Perfect for me. Her answering glow lit up the entire chamber, rose gold and silver, and colors he had no names for. When do we leave? Earth's atmosphere painted the sky in colors Zia had never seen before. She stood at the viewport of their descending ship, her crystalline form reflecting the sunrise in prismatic waves. Ethan watched her reaction with barely concealed delight. It's so vibrant, she breathed, her own light pulsing in harmony with the dawn. Your world glows. Wait until you see what's waiting for us on the ground. Ethan guided their hybrid vessel, now a perfect blend of human and lumen technology, toward a sprawling coastline. Welcome to San Francisco. The city materialized through the morning mist, its towers reaching toward the sky. But Ethan steered them away from the urban center, following the coastline north until they reached a more secluded area. A modest house perched on a cliff caught the first rays of sunlight. Home, he said simply, watching her reaction. Well, potentially, if you like it. Zia's skin shifted through shades of wonder as they landed in a clearing beside the house. This is yours? Ours if you want it to be. He powered down the engines. It needs work, but I figured with your crystal tech and my engineering, we could make something unique, she finished, her glow brightening with excitement. Something that's never existed before. Their first steps onto Earth soil were met with a chorus of curious onlookers. neighbors who'd spotted the unusual ship's descent. Zia instinctively dimmed her light, shrinking behind Ethan. "It's okay," he murmured, taking her small hand in his. "They're just curious. Show them who you are." Drawing strength from his touch, Zia straightened to her full height, all 4 feet of it, and let her natural luminescence shine. The gasps of wonder that followed made her skin ripple with surprised pleasure. "She's beautiful," someone whispered. "Like living crystal," another added. "Are those colors responding to emotions?" "Wait until you see what she can do with technology," Ethan announced proudly, guiding Zia toward the house. His thumb traced reassuring patterns on her crystalline hand, sending sparkles of rose gold across her skin. "I still can't believe you kept this place secret," she chimed, her musical voice drawing more fascinated attention. "Had to have somewhere to bring my gorgeous alien girlfriend, didn't I?" He winked down at her, delighting in how her skin flashed brighter at the term. "Girlfriend," she teased back, gaining confidence. "Is that the human term for crystalline life partner who saves your reckless self from exploding ships?" "Among other things." He opened the front door with a flourish. "Though I prefer brilliant engineer who lights up my life." The house's interior was spacious but bare, a blank canvas waiting to be filled. Sunlight streamed through large windows, catching Zia's crystalline form and casting rainbow patterns across the walls. "You're already redecorating," Ethan observed, watching the light show with appreciation. "Wait until I actually start working," she said, her eyes gleaming with possibilities. "Your human technology combined with lumen crystals, we could create living spaces that respond to emotions, that heal and grow." "See? And my neighbors thought I was crazy for buying a fixer-upper." He pulled her closer, careful as always of their height difference. "Though I should warn you, you're going to become the talk of the town. Not every day a living crystal moves in and starts revolutionizing architecture." Her skin dimmed slightly with uncertainty. "Will they accept us? A human and a lumen?" "They already have." He gestured to the window, where several neighbors were still gathered, watching with undisguised fascination as Zia's light played across the house's exterior. "You're not just different here, Zia. You're extraordinary." Over the next few months, their home transformed. Zia's crystalline technology merged seamlessly with Earth architecture, creating spaces that seemed to breathe with light and life. The walls responded to emotions, the garden bloomed with hybrid flora that glowed softly at night, and their workshop became a testament to what humans and Lumen could achieve together. "You know," Ethan said one evening, watching Zia adjust a crystal formation that powered their entire home's energy grid, "for someone who thought she was too small to matter, you've made quite an impact." She turned to him, her skin shimmering with that confident glow he'd helped nurture. "Having the right partner helps." "Partner, hmm?" He moved behind her, resting his chin on top of her head just to make her laugh. "Is that what we're calling this?" "Well, I could call you my oversized human heat source," she teased, her light pulsing warmly. "Or perhaps my personal tall shelf reacher." "Careful," he warned playfully, wrapping his arms around her tiny frame. "This oversized human might just decide to demonstrate why your height is perfectly convenient." Her skin blazed with that beautiful rose gold color. "And how would you demonstrate that?" Instead of answering, he scooped her up, spinning them both around until her chiming laughter filled the room. Crystal formations around them responded to her joy, creating a dance of light and color. "Show off," she accused, but made no move to leave his arms. "Says the living light show." He set her down gently but kept her close. "Though I have to admit, I love watching how you affect everything around you. The house, the garden, the neighbors, me." Her glow softened to something intimate. "Even after all these months?" "Especially after all these months." He brushed his fingers along her crystalline cheek. "Every day you shine brighter." One evening, as the sun set over San Francisco Bay, they stood in their crystal garden. The hybrid plants Zia had created glowed softly, harmonizing with her own light. The city sprawled below them, its lights beginning to twinkle like earthbound stars. "I received another contract offer today," Zia said, her skin rippling with pride. "They want our hybrid technology for the new space station. Apparently, living crystal architecture is becoming quite fashionable." "Told you they'd love you." Ethan pulled her closer, marveling at how perfectly she fit against him, despite their size difference. Though I'm still your biggest fan, she chimed with laughter. Biggest in every sense. Was that a height joke? From you? He gasped in mock offense. I've clearly been a bad influence. The worst, she agreed, her skin blazing with happiness. Teaching me to value myself, helping me create impossible things, loving me exactly as I am. She turned in his arms to face him. Absolutely terrible. I do have one more terrible thing planned, he said, suddenly serious. From his pocket he pulled out a small crystal, one he'd spent weeks crafting under her tutelage. It caught the fading sunlight and seemed to glow from within. Zia's light flared with recognition. That's a bonding crystal. But how did you... I had a good teacher. He knelt down to her level, holding out the crystal. On your world, size determines worth. On mine, we measure worth by how much light someone brings to our lives. His voice softened. And you, Zia, have filled my world with more light than I ever thought possible. Her skin erupted in a kaleidoscope of colors, joy and love and wonder all mixed together. Yes, she whispered before he could even ask. 1,000 times yes. As they sealed their promise, their garden erupted in sympathetic light, crystal formations singing with joy. Below them, the city continued to glow, but neither of them noticed. They were too busy creating their own light, proving that love truly knew no bounds, not of size, species, or space itself. I told you, Ethan murmured against her gleaming skin. The best things come in small packages. And I told you, she replied, her light encompassing them both, that impossible things become possible with the right partner. Together, they had built more than just a home. They had created a beacon of hope, showing the universe that true connection transcended all differences. Their love story, written in light and crystal, would inspire generations to come. And as the stars emerged above them, Zia's light rivaled them all, not despite her size, but because of who she was. Perfect, exactly as she was, in the arms of the one person who had seen her true worth from the very beginning. The end. This concludes our story of Ethan and Zia, a tale of love that transcended physical differences and cultural barriers, proving that the brightest lights often come in unexpected packages. Dear listeners, if you enjoyed this tale of Ethan and Zia, a story that shows how love can bridge any differences and overcome all barriers, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What resonated with you most? Was it their playful banter, the way they complemented each other's strengths, or perhaps the message that true worth isn't measured by physical size? Please share your favorite moments or what you think might happen next in their story. Your comments and feedback make storytelling even more rewarding. Looking forward to hearing your responses. P.S. Don't forget to like and share if this story brightened your day as much as Zia brightens Ethan's.